everybody. This is Jennifer Schaus coming to you live from Washington, D.C. today. And we are continuing in our Webinar Wednesday series. We host a webinar every Wednesday the entire year in 2018, covering a variety of government contracting topics. Our speakers include myself as well as other industry experts, sometimes accountants, attorneys, and other professionals that have knowledge about the sector. All of the webinars, the full schedule can be found on our website under the webinar section, and all of the recordings from this year and years past can be found under the archive webinar. We also do have a YouTube channel which houses these webinars as well. A brief blurb about us. We're based in downtown DC and provide various services for government contractors. It ranges from market analysis reports, GSA schedules, and other services for contractors. We do have a deep bench of industry experts, and these are professionals that help us with some of the proposal writing and other services that we offer. A little bit about me is listed here on this slide: educational experience and number of years in government contracting. So today we're going to talk about GSA schedules, and today is unique. We do have this webinar at 12 o'clock, and then at 12:30 we are covering steps to success for government contractors. That has a separate registration link and separate dial-in if you're calling it on your phone, and that'll begin at 12:30. So let's get started on the GSA schedule. Do I qualify? Here's just a brief agenda of what I'm going to run through today. First, we want to understand what a GSA schedule is, what the benefits are, the litmus test that you should do both internally as well as what GSA will look at when they're evaluating your proposal. And then we'll dig into kind of the real requirements of the proposal, and I'll make some concluding remarks. In the interest of time, we do not take questions, but if you do have any questions about the GSA schedule, and if your company qualifies or if it's in your best interest, you can certainly contact me directly. After the webinar. My contact information can either be found on our website or it'll be listed on the last slide. So I'll go through this pretty briefly. The GSA schedule is only a marketing tool. It is not required, and there are many other contract vehicles that are out there. GSA just does a really good job of marketing themselves and ensuring that everybody knows that a GSA schedule is one of the many, many options that are available to contractors. A lot of companies think that you do need this, but again, I will reiterate, it is not required. All agencies do have the ability to purchase off of the schedule, but that does not mean it's their preferred mechanism to use. The schedule is an initial 5-year contract with 3 5-year renewable periods. So if you go through each of the renewals, in essence, from start to finish, it would be a 20-year contract. At the end of the 20 years, you can reapply and get back on. So unlike the SBA 8A certification, where at the end of 9 years, you're done and you cannot reapply to get back on, even if you have a different company name with a different line of business, headquartered in a different state, doing something completely different. The GSA schedule, you can secure another one. It's also referred to as a multiple award schedule, or MAS. Multiple award meaning there are multiple companies that hold GSA schedules. Roughly about 20,000 companies have a GSA schedule. It's also referred to as a federal supply schedule, meaning there are products that the government can purchase directly off of the schedule. But the whole impetus, 99.999% of what the GSA schedule is based on, predicated on, is your lowest price. So this means that your rates for your products and or services will be pre-negotiated up front with the government. That way, once you're listed on the GSA schedule, which is similar to, say, being listed with Amazon or eBay, where the buyers can then go in and search for your products or services, they then know that GSA has negotiated with you, and that if they make a purchase for your products or services under certain levels going direct to you, that they are getting the best price. Now, your prices will only be a price ceiling, so as you start bidding for work through your schedule, sometimes you will potentially be bidding at rates lower than your GSA rates. And we'll go into more detail on that on some of these other slides. Some of the benefits are it makes it easier for the government to purchase from you, again, because you have been vetted not only on your prices, but also your past performance, and GSA will go through some other tests to ensure that you will be able to maintain the terms and conditions of the contract. Once you are, we'll say, GSA schedule approved or listed, you will have access to GSA eBuy, RFP, and RFQ notifications. So occasionally you'll get, sometimes it's once a day, sometimes it's once a week in the fourth quarter of the fiscal year, which will be July, August, and September, you will receive an influx of RFP and RFQ notifications. It just, again, simplifies the purchase process for the government. The less paperwork and justification they have to do to get from you, the easier it is. So the easier you can make life for your customer, the better. Again, you have been vetted up front, and this will also limit competition. It's not going to eliminate it, but it will potentially scale down some competition for you. So like any other RFP, the GSA schedule is a solicitation that you respond to, and just because you meet the requirements doesn't mean that we recommend that you should then pursue it. You want to make sure that it is in your best interest and that the consultant or firm that you're working with, or any internal processes that you go through to make this decision, that you are doing this based on facts and an overall view of your company to make sure that having the schedule is not going to be a liability, that it will be an asset for you and something that you can use for more than just a couple months or a couple years. So here's some questions that we suggest that you ask yourself or your company to ensure that this is an asset for you. Do your customers even purchase from this vehicle? And if so, do they prefer it? What other contract vehicles do they purchase from? And on our website, we have a whole list of resources, and under that resources section, there are some government contract vehicles in addition to GSA schedules that are out there. So you want to make sure, again, that you know who your customer is and how they purchase. And because it is based on your lowest price, you want to make sure that you are going to be profitable on this schedule. As I mentioned before, your GSA rates are only a price ceiling, so as you start to bid, through your schedule, your rates will be lower. Obviously, lower margins. You'll need heavier volume in order to maintain a successful and profitable business. GSA does have a sales requirement, which is $25,000 per year through your schedule. If you have a $2 million contract with the Air Force and a $5 million contract with agriculture, and neither of those contracts are through your schedule, GSA doesn't care. All they care about are the sales that you have through your schedule. That's $25,000 per year per schedule. Again, GSA schedules are based on your lowest price, not required, and one of many, many options. So please keep that in mind, especially as you get email notices from folks once you've maybe have perhaps updated your CAM.gov registration, or you've listed your email address somewhere else, and a lot of companies will start to email and market you saying that the GSA schedule is the next best thing. Again, you do want to make sure it's in your best interest. So some things to kind of look at as far as a litmus test here. Are you going to meet and preferably exceed all of the requirements, both pre and post-award? Post-award meaning the sales quota. Are you going to be profitable? Do you have the necessary in-house or outsourced a la carte services, such as compliance and monitoring your prices and reporting and paying the GSA industrial funding fee and some of the other fine print line items that come with a GSA schedule? The second piece here to consider is how big is the opportunity. Again, as I mentioned, you want to make sure that your customers, your specific customers, purchase from the schedule. Yes, every federal government agency has the opportunity and has GSA schedules available to them, but is that their preferred method? Having the build it and they will come mentality sometimes does not work. 63% of the schedule holders, so 63% of the 20,000 companies, have zero GSA schedule sales. What does that mean? What are the repercussions? It means that GSA will come in and cancel their schedule. Now, they will issue certainly a warning letter, but Again, why go through the process of doing this internally or hiring a consulting firm or a consultant and paying them thousands of dollars to go through this sometimes painful exercise, only to then decide that it's not in your best interest. The other major piece, because it is based on your pricing, are your rates competitive and what are your margins going to be? Again, it's a low margin. Government contracting in general is low margin, and GSA schedule is even further proof of that. So you do want heavy volume, again, ensuring that you've got enough customers that'll purchase from you through that vehicle. This next slide here is just indicating, demonstrating some of the other ways that the government purchases. Sometimes they will set aside contracts for small business, women-owned, HUB Zone, 8A, veteran-owned, Alaska Natives, and all the others. Sometimes it will go out for full and open competition, and sometimes it will actually come down to a GSA schedule purchase. And sometimes those GSA schedule purchases are competitive based on the dollar amount and other factors. So it's not a sure thing that just because you have a schedule, you're then going to win business. So let's look at the actual proposal. So the GSA schedule, as I mentioned, is an open and rolling RFP or solicitation, request for proposal. It's going to have three main components to it: the administrative, the technical, and the pricing. The administrative, your company will need to demonstrate at least 2 full years of balance sheet and income statement, 24 months. You do want to show solid revenues, preferably no losses. If you're a services firm, you will want to demonstrate that you do have, I'd say, 4 or 5, preferably 6 or more full-time employees. And then there's some learning modules that you'll need to pass that GSA has on their website that you'll need to have certificates of completing those tests. But the real piece here that would ensure that your company is going to be competitive and qualify is really that financial piece. There are certainly exceptions, particularly within Schedule 70, which is for IT products and services. That's not typically what we would recommend. We want to work with companies that will certainly exceed those expectations and make the review process for GSA go as smooth as possible. However, there are instances where you may be a startup company and you have done that due diligence and homework up front to find out that your customers do actually prefer to purchase through the schedule. So again, every case is unique, but we certainly prefer that your company does have multiple years of experience and solid revenues. The next section is the technical. You'll have to have 6 of your customers complete an open rating survey, which is a customer survey that they will complete, evaluating your company on your pricing, your customer service, the professionalism and timeliness in answering questions. So 6 unique customers. You will also need, more importantly, 2 substantial projects for each of the SIN, special item numbers, that you are pursuing. Along with that, you'll need a copy of the contract, which in most cases includes the statement of work. If you are pursuing Schedule 70, again, there's always different rules within that schedule. So you would need 3 projects instead of 2 for the IT schedule. Those also need to be current, meaning within the last 2 years, down to the month that you submit. So if you are working on a proposal currently and you decide that you're going to submit in July or August of 2018, your projects could not have ended before July or August of 2016. If they have, GSA will reject your offer because it is not going to be compliant. Those projects should also be substantial. You want significant dollar amounts to be showing that you have demonstrated past performance in these specific areas. The pricing section, you'll either be going down the path of a commercial price list or demonstrating market rates. For your prices, you will need invoice justification. You can sometimes use quotation sheets, but preferably you want to have invoices to show that you have sold each and every one of the line items that you are proposing to GSA. You also will need to show that your pricing that you are proposing to GSA is fair and reasonable and competitive. And you'll also have to open the kimono and share which of your customers, whether it's a category of customers, meaning all nonprofits, all state and local, all educational institutions, or all national and corporate accounts are receiving your discounts, and when you are implementing those discounts, the frequency that those discounts occur and the circumstances around those. So how are you going to show that your pricing is competitive, and what research should you do in advance of getting onto the schedule? There's a public website called calc.gsa.gov where you can plug in different labor categories. Again, this will be for service companies. So you would plug in, let's just say in this case, we use the job title project manager with bachelor's degree. There's also a drop down for minimum years of experience. And then you also want to make sure the very last drop down in the right-hand corner, the SIN or the schedule selection. So that will then give you an average of the other companies that are on the schedule that also have a project manager with a bachelor's degree and minimum 5 years of experience for schedule 70 132-51, which is IT professional services. The average then comes up as 129, as you can see here on the screen. However, if your proposed rate to GSA is $159, they're simply going to say, hey, look, our market research has shown that everybody else is falling within a 129 average, so therefore we want you to be at that same lower rate. So this is a very good reason why you want to do some homework upfront to make sure that your rates are competitive with others on the schedule. Otherwise, GSA will either not accept your rate or force you into this bucket of where the average falls. Again, this is going to be all things being equal, so same minimum education and same minimum work experience. You also then need to have the invoices that back up your rates. And you can certainly make specific arguments that your job description is more detailed and go down those paths, but this is just a good first check before deciding that the GSA schedule is right or not for you. One of the other documents that's included in the pricing section is the CSP, which is the Commercial Sales Practices Form. There's a lot more to this document, but the main question here that stands out, like the elephant in the room, is simply indicating that if the discounts that you're giving the government are equal to or better than your best price customer, regardless of quantity or terms and conditions. That is a huge statement there. So again, you want to make sure that you're answering that and disclosing information to GSA accurately. They can conduct, we'll say, audits of your information and your accounting policies and looking at invoices prior to making an award, and they also will do that after you're on the schedule to monitor that GSA is always going to be your lowest price customer. So this I put together simply just to show how your rates will fluctuate somewhat. So in the example here, let's say your commercial rate, whether you're selling a widget or professional services for $100 an hour or $100 per widget, your most favorite customer, this is your best price customer, let's say, is given them a discounted rate of $95. So you propose to GSA a rate of $90 because you're going to give them something that's equal to or better than your most favorite customer. But let's say as you did your analysis, all of the other vendors that were selling the same widget or the same labor category came in at $90. You decided to award or decided to propose GSA a rate of $90, and they awarded you that rate. Now the last column is the GSA bid rate. This means once you are on the GSA schedule and you start bidding for work specifically through your schedule, you're going to come in at rates lower than your GSA rate. So going from $100 to $88, again, you want to really think, is the GSA schedule in my company's best interest, and will I be profitable here? Other things and resources that you may need, the cost of doing business. We certainly recommend a dedicated sales rep, somebody that understands GSA schedules, the federal government, contract vehicles, as well as your business. Don't wait for the GSA Schedule award because there is a lag time between when you submit your proposal to when they actually review it, come back with questions, go through negotiations, and then finally make it through to an award. And you don't want to rely on simply the GSA RFPs that will come out once you're on the schedule. You should be actively selling. Obviously, you do not want to misrepresent your company as far as if you have a schedule or not, but you can say that you have submitted a proposal and that either in the queue or currently being reviewed by GSA. So don't wait to have the schedule to start the sales process because, as we all know, the sales process within the federal government is very slow and time-consuming. So going left to right, starting at the top here, we suggest developing business relationships both directly with the government and prime contractors, responding to some of these RFPs that you have a relationship with that entity, securing some contracts and growing your revenue. Once your company's got a couple contracts under its belt, then sit down, conduct some analysis based on facts, and decide whether or not then to pursue the GSA schedule. So post-award, should you have decided it is a good idea to pursue, you want to be aware that you will have to pay GSA 0.75% of your GSA schedule sales only. That is called the industrial funding fee. Again, 0.75%, and it's only of your GSA schedule sales. You're also going to need to bring in $25,000 per year through your schedule. If you've got millions of dollars of sales with other agencies that have used other contract vehicles, it doesn't matter. GSA wants that $25K through their schedule. Your GSA rates are only a price ceiling. You'll start bidding through your schedule at rates lower than your awarded rates, which we demonstrated in the other slide. The price reduction clause, which is the second to the last bullet here, this means that your GSA rates always need to be your lowest rates. So your accounting system will need to be able to monitor that no other customer outside of your GSA schedule awards is not getting a lower rate. If so, you'll then need to notify GSA and reduce your GSA rate to that same number. There's other reporting and compliance, just ongoing mass mods and other compliance issues that come with having a GSA schedule. So obviously there is a cost of doing business. In conclusion, I cannot reiterate enough, just because you qualify doesn't mean that it's a good idea to pursue the schedule or any other RFP for that matter. So make a decision based on the facts being who is your customer and how do they purchase, and is this even going to be profitable for you? If you do have further questions or any questions about the GSA schedule or any of our services, you can contact us directly. My phone number is here, as well as the email address. And we're starting our next webinar today at 12:30 on steps to success in government contracting. We hope you'll join us for that. The registration link is on our website under the webinar section. And again, thanks everybody for joining us in our series today.